everybody. This is Sarah Whitaker
And Salty Dalty.
here for Working the World, episode 22, Promos Part 2. Now, we're going to be deviating a little bit from our normal broadcasting style, so we're going to be continuing where we left off and going into modern day promos. If you want to see the explanation,
Predecessor.
if you want to see the predecessor of our podcast of chapter 1, we'll be having that out momentarily, if not as soon as you hear this.
Mm-hmm.
So you can also find us on your favorite podcast platform and on Working the World 0240 on YouTube.
On the tube.
Alrighty, let's get into modern day promos and who's the best of the best these days.
MJF.
MJ.
He believes what he says, so I gotta give him that. He's not afraid to ruffle feathers. He's not afraid to piss people off. He's not afraid to borderline offend people. Actually, yeah, everything he says is offensive to a degree. You can make an argument for that, but yeah, he is offensive in like a classy boo you SOB way instead of boo I don't want to hear you kind of way. So kind of like how certain people offend people with just their presence. He does it with his mouth, but in a way, it's like I want to see him get his butt beat instead of boo. I just don't want to see this guy. So, but he was definitely a chip off of the from the school of Roddy Piper and from CM Punk and those kind of guys that just say it like it is and say it to the utmost of their physical ability as far as like believing what they say and basically pouring out their heart when they say it and not afraid to spew a little venom in there too. So that's the best way to put it with him. But I will say this about MJF. I wish more people would be less afraid to cut a promo like him in the business nowadays. I think it'd be I think it'd give something for the people to sink their teeth into a little bit
Well,
more.
especially with cancel culture and
Mhm.
people ganging up on you in order to have their way of communication be felt. I mean, it's like MJF really stands out as someone who just does not give a flying dragon.
Yep, well, I was gonna say, but he knows how to dial it back just like if Roddy Piper was involved in today's wrestling, he'd be canceled in a heartbeat just like that. So we'll go in a little bit more into him on the next episode, something that you might find humorous. We're just going ahead and give you a little teaser for that one.
Alrighty,
But other modern day promos, obviously John Cena,
John Cena.
especially after turning heel because he the amount of psychology that I saw last night WrestleMania in his match on there as far as like old school, it reminded me a lot of like a 80s Jim Crockett Bill Watts era style match in their territory with that, but also his promos going on there saying is like what's the term he used? Like, you deserve nothing, so I'm gonna change nothing. So it's like kind of going, being good to be bad and all that to a degree. I see a little bit of Bob Backlund there, but also a little bit of Hollywood Hogan since he's going and selling his soul to a rock in Hollywood and all that with what he's doing right now. And hey, I love it. It's just that he's not changing anything about him, but his not allowing the fancy flashy colors when he comes out. It's just he's dressing the same as he would, except more in black and more dull colors. That's it.
Yeah.
But Cena, talk about somebody who can pour their heart out in a promo, especially when he's super motivated behind the angle, all that. Yeah. So anybody comes to your mind here?
Well, especially, I mean, not so much in the Attitude Era when he was having some of his best matches, but Matt Hardy really tore the house down with Broken Matt Hardy,
Yes.
especially in multiple promotions.
The final deletion.
Deletion.
Yeah. I was gonna say, when I watched that the first time, especially with Skarsgård, the dilapidated poet, I felt like, are they what the heck are they smoking up there in North Carolina to go and dream this kind of stuff up? But that was kinda like the predecessor, like the cinematic matches
Yeah.
and all that. So well, actually, I would say make case the first cinematic match that we had that was partially cinematic was the Boiler Room Brawl between Taker and Mankind, but
Mm.
they took it to, like, a whole new level with that, with the promos, with the drones, with the ring in the backyard. Um, of course, him trying to revive his, brother Nero, and how, like, it was one of those things that was so over the top and so it could have been considered cheesy, but it was one of those things that was just so over the top it was good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of some people liked it, some people didn't. I was entertained by it, and yeah, I kind of saw it more on the entertainment side for my personal tastes on there because I like to kind of leave a little bit of the legitimacy and a little bit of the entertainment kind of combined in there instead of having it be one extreme to the other. A little bit of that mixture is both, but I could see the entertainment value in it.
Well, especially since he kind of, earned the rights to it and was able to do it online for, the longest time. I mean, it's like when he had to go to WWE, he had to become Woken Matt Hardy.
Ah, uh, but also along those lines, somebody who unfortunately is no longer with us, that modern day promo that would be very cryptic would be Bray Wyatt.
Oh my goodness.
Wyatt family era, just how he would speak kind of in the third person, speak as that like old wise, Southern philosopher of kind of like he was basically a backwoods preacher, I would say, for what he was doing. Was like, but he just kind of he didn't scream and yell a lot. He just one of those guys that made you come in and scream like this, scream just by how he would, say certain things, how he would, pace himself, his cadence. Then, of course, when he did a refresh on there and became the Fiend with the Firefly Funhouse stuff, it was like reverse psychology in a way where it was like, "Hi, everybody, blah, 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 blah." It's like, "Yeah, go ahead and see everybody in my mind." Erase your mind. And it's like just having those little snippets of kinda like he's repressing his, evil nature and then exercising it in a, positive way with the Fiend. So, I thought that was absolutely brilliant time. I just, felt like some of the other creative behind it could've I wish the creative boat would've gotten behind that a little bit more, but, management and time, wish we would gotten more of that and gotten a little bit more commitment on it.
Well, one of the things that I really appreciated about Bray Wyatt's promo style is the way he utilized social media and
Mhm,
how he brought back the continuity of his previous promos and made secret messages in there.
mhm.
And it was like having fun with all the fans and actually utilizing technology without breaking kayfabe.
Yeah, keeping that fourth wall up there,
Y-
making people believe your gimmick outside the ring, even though they know it's entertainment, it's a work, but enough to where it's like, is this guy really off the deep end? It's like he was just that creative and that out there as far as like new ideas and new ways to go ahead and market the business, market your character, get it over with the fans. Because I mean, Zack Ryder did the same thing with the WWE Internet Champion, like yeah, social media championship, something like that. Before he became Matt Cardona, which by the way, I think you could go ahead and make a case like MJF and Matt Cardona are kind of the same character to an extent. So except one has 10 years of frustration behind WWE, being, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad relationship, then goes to the Indies, becomes the Indie darling. The other one just was that way pretty much right out of school. So, but I gotta say, it's like I think Matt Cardona, as far as like the indies go right now, he's a really good talker and he's really good at bringing people into the building and all that. But yeah, I was gonna say it's like that. There's some good promos out there on the indies too, in my opinion. So, but anybody else come to mind for you, modern day?
Modern day, okay. Does this count as a promo if he uses his music to speak for him? Joe Hendry.
you could perhaps make a case for that.
Because it's like nobody has used their theme music since, I mean, it's like Mr. Wonderful to just
Oh, the WCW one?
the wonderful.
Wonderful.
Uh,
Paul was a good talker in his era too, and he was, really good at stirring the pot. But I wish we would have gotten that theme in WWF.
yeah.
It was WCW near like at the tail end of his career, and he started having the neck issues he had. That it's like I wanted to see that guy in Mister Wonderful in WWF. So even though what we got in New York was great with him and Hogan, him and Piper and those guys, like, WCW at that point took it, like, all in to the next level with Paul.
But going back to Joe Hendry's like,
Mhm.
say his name and
And
he
he appears.
I
I
believe
believe
in
in Joe
Joe
Hendry.
Hendry. But it's like using a music song to actually act as a promo.
Yeah, get people behind you
You
even before you come out the curtain.
yeah.
Because Joe even said this. Wrestling fans want to be interacted with and be able to have them feel like they're a part of the show and they have control over it. Well, with the song, because he was also with the entrance video, Titantron,
Mhm.
with them actually doing the clapping and dancing. It's like it kind of acts like you know propaganda to get them to start clapping, clapping, clap. Okay, I guess it's what we're supposed to do. Make this guy work. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, I'm starting to get on this now. You're training your audience in that way
Mhm.
because promos kind of train your audience to go and be like, okay, this is the heel, this is babyface, this is what this guy stands for, this is what this guy doesn't stand for, blah blah blah. Pick a side.
Mhm.
So it just doesn't matter how persuasive you can be, and basically a promo is a way to persuade people to come pay their money and watch the it's marketing basically. So which by the way, I was gonna say a college degree, I think pro wrestlers should two of them, even though one of them's starting to become a little bit outdated, general psychology, marketing. That'd be two really good things to get like if you're an independent pro wrestler or wanting to possibly get signed, those two college degrees will help you immensely. So
Sweet.
but anyway, so Joe Hendry, and by the way, congrats to him making his WrestleMania debut last night against Randy Orton. And I think that was the first time that we ever had a world champion from another promotion go and wrestle on a WrestleMania. Not defending the title, but be on the card that wasn't actively like signed. So
Right.
I'd never never seen anything like that before. I'm glad that history was made last night. So along with seeing a 17th title win. So, but I digress on that. But
Uh,
somebody, I was gonna say somebody that comes to mind too as far as like going along the lines of what you're saying is like interacting with fans with their promos on social media over in TNA, Rosemary.
yeah, I was going to save her for the women of promos, but
Well, I was gonna say this is a heck of a segue too.
this is a heck of a segue. But we
See, I'm going giving you those segues for you.
women in promos. Ah,
Sherry,
Sherry,
Luna.
Luna.
Yeah, I was gonna say those two girls. Some people have vocal cords. Those women had vocal chains. Cause good lord, those women could go ahead and like cut a promo where I'd be having my throat sore for 3 days. They'd go again, 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 going doing that and being so vocal and so over the top with their stuff. So especially Luna, good lord. I mean, she already had like you met her. She had that naturally raspy voice anyway. But she talks like that. So it's like I can't even do that as well as I'd like to. And you could make a case that did Vince McMahon's, Mr. McMahon's voice better than he did before he did.
Well, I mean, especially talking about TNA and Rosemary, it's like they had a lot of good promos up in TNA during like 2018 before the pandemic because
Yep.
they had all
With
these
Decay, yeah.
with Decay. I mean, the Afterlife. I mean, they had Sue Young who didn't say much, but she almost didn't need to because a lot of her promos were visual.
Mhm.
And I mean, you think about talking on the stick and whatnot, but I mean, it's
The
like
vignettes.
the vignettes, the um actions in the ring. I mean, bleeding. I
Mhm.
mean, it's like spitting out. I mean, well, spitting out blood is not really a promo, but I mean, it's like just the whole visual package of Su Young
Mhm.
was speaking for her more than she needed to.
Kinda like The Undertaker in a way.
Right.
Yeah, because that actually kinda goes into the jargon of the day, which we wanted to save, for a little bit, but the jargon of the day is actually mouthpiece.
Mouthpiece. Which we could go back to Sherry and Luna on there because they were managers.
Mhm, absolutely. Well, especially Sherry, because Luna, I think, did a little bit more in ring for WWF than Sherry at that point, because Sherry'd already been in the business for quite a while. Luna was a little bit further ahead on there 'cause she broke in, I think, in Florida and did that and wrestled a little bit more out there. But Sherry got most of her work in like AWA in Memphis and that before she came to WWF. But I was gonna say, man, just Sherry, especially with Randy Savage. Oh, good
Yeah,
lord.
a mouthpiece is somebody who speaks on the behalf of a wrestler.
Yep,
Mostly,
usually a
usually a
manager.
manager.
Yep. But then again, sometimes you can make the case like a mouthpiece isn't really necessary for a wrestler because they can talk on their own. But in order to make certain gimmicks work, it's better that they have a mouthpiece to do a talking for them so they could have the wrestler still have a little bit of mystique, like The Undertaker. Didn't really speak that much. He had Paul Bearer do most of the talking with him. He just looked menacing, cold in the background, like he was legitimately dead. And when he did say, it's like that rest in peace. It meant a little bit more when he didn't say a whole lot during the promo and let Paul do the talking. Also, kind of like some guys just don't really feel comfortable like cutting promos. Like the first example that comes to mind is Hart Foundation when they had Jimmy Hart as their manager, because Jim Neidhart could talk his ass off. Don't get me wrong. But Brett openly said that he just didn't really feel comfortable at that time cutting promos. So he relied a little bit more on Jimmy to do that. But thing is that Brett is a naturally funny and naturally kind of humorous guy who draws cartoons and likes making, monster movies in his backyard and stuff like that. But he just didn't know how to comfortably express himself at that point. And then he had Neidhart with him, so it's like Neidhart and Jimmy could kind of carry the promo for him. Then he'd go ahead and maybe drop his like little one line, two line on there. Then over time, he started becoming more comfortable, more comfortable. Then you go and have him have his meltdown on Raw, shoving Vince McMahon down, going on that cussing tirade. It's like, where the heck did this come from? This is the Bret Hart we've all wanted for years. And it's like, because I think that it's like it was a process for Bret going and being able to do that because Bret was so dependent on his work at that point to get himself over that the promo was like, and then over time it's like, okay, I gotta start cutting them, gotta start cutting them. But when he had those two guys to lean on, he'd go ahead and drop one line, two lines, and then eventually start cutting promos on his own. It was a good segue for him to break out of his shell over time. So that's something that mouthpieces are really good for. So, and there are some guys that absolutely need one because they cannot cut a promo at all because no disrespect to Andre the Giant, but he could cut a promo, but his accent was so thick and his voice was so deep, it was kind of hard to understand what he was saying. So I think that was a huge part of the reason why they put Heenan with him during his heel run, to have Heenan do the majority of the talking, plus add that mystique of him being the Giant. So, but any good mouthpieces as far as you're concerned on your end?
Well, I mean, Bobby the Brain Heenan was. I mean, we already mentioned him, but I mean, it's like he was the king of gab,
Mm-hmm.
talking for his people. But
Hey, Stu, wake up! Survivor Series '93, I thought was his finest work on the stick. So it was a promo for like 40 minutes straight with him on commentary.
But somebody that's, I mean, we don't really see who was a good mouthpiece was also Harley Race. Because he was manager for, like, especially like Van Vader and
Luger.
Luger, talking for those guys.
Yeah, because Luger wasn't really super comfortable doing promos either. So, but he would do them. He did them a little bit with the Horsemen. And, his whole thing was that he had his body and his strength get him over in the ring. Even though he did have charisma, he showed fire and all that. Sometimes I feel like on the mic he had a hard time maybe expressing it. So it's just kind of a matter of breaking out your own shell. But Harley could come and get that menacing promo to be able to strike fear in the heart of a Ron Simmons or a Sting when he was managing Luger, and then later on Vader, even though Vader was so much more comfortable talking, I think, than Luger, which, hey, congratulations, Luger, on his Hall of Fame accomplishment this year. I'm glad they was able to stand and give his speech. I thought it was really inspiring. But Vader, I think with Harley was more of the mystique. Like Vader come out, it's like, I'm the power of pain. I feel no pain and I fear no man. Yeah. Then have Harley come and, you know, diplomatically talk like this monster here. He's going to rip your head off. And then he's going to blah, 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 whatever. And, Harley also was not only good at being a mouthpiece on there, but also he was a mentor of both those guys and taught them some psychology that they had not learned yet in their tenure in the business. Because Harley was, I want to talk about elite level workers. Like there's elite workers, and then there's Harley Race, who's like a master of like everything in ring, knew how to do everything, not hurt anybody, and also how to talk people into the building because the way Harley cut a promo, not a lot of guys can cut it because he was just so serious and so, I don't want to say condescending, but very so intensely like he wanted to be let you know, hey, I'm legitimate. There's no BS around me. It's like there's no gimmickry, hoo hoo ha ha, whatever. I am here to win and whoop somebody. So I thought that was, Harley's mystique as well. So, but any other good mouthpieces that come to mind for you?
Especially in TNA when he was managing Abyss, James Mitchell,
Ooh, James Vanderberg, James Mitchell.
Sinister Minister.
Yep. I was gonna say, you want to talk because Abyss can talk too.
Yes.
It's just that, like I said, the gimmick wouldn't mean as much if he was talking all the time. James Mitchell do the talking and have the mystique of this monster, all that. Because Abyss, I'm gonna say openly, was a huge influence on Salty Dalty, and also like not only like with the look, also the in ring work, also like the presentation of like some body language I stole from Abyss too, him and Bruiser Brody. But I was gonna say, man, like that Abyss gimmick was like the perfect TNA's way of being able to have their monster heal and have it be legitimate. Because you could make the case like, oh, it's too over the top for Kane and Undertaker and some other places besides WWE, and maybe be taken seriously with their gimmick, but because it's in WWE, you can buy it because it's the land of the super over the top gimmicks. But Abyss was kind of like their version of that, and you could be seeing as like I could see this guy being chained up in somebody's basement and not being let out like Bane. Because that's kind of the first thing. I mean, other than the mask, first thing that comes to mind with Abyss, like, oh, he reminds me a lot of Bane from Batman.
Hmm.
But I tell you what, James Mitchell, actually, Abyss told a story about this when he had his Hall of Fame induction for TNA. I hope I can get with saying this on the air, but they were riding together in his truck, which was an absolute mess. Mitchell's truck's like, he asked him, it's like, hey, good Reverend, that was his nickname, good Reverend. How do you make that, your eyebrows do that? It's like, let me go ahead and reach into my pocket and I will show you, my son. Pulls out a gun. It's like, sorry, run pocket. Pulls out a glue stick. He did it with one of those glue sticks. His eyebrows went up. It's like because Abyss nearly peed his pants in the car. Oh shoot! And it's like because I was gonna say that'd make my eyebrows go up, just not in the same way. I digress on that. We'll save that one for the next episode. So
Yep.
that's a little teaser for y'all. But I got one more mouthpiece on my end. You let me know your thoughts on them as far as being a mouthpiece goes, and Jerry the King Lawler.
Well, he especially on commentary, I mean, it's like he's I mean, it's not the same as a promo, but I mean, it's like I know him more from his commentary
Mm,
days than I do from him being a manager or a mentor.
Well, I was gonna say he actually had a mouthpiece,
Oh,
Jimmy Hart.
oh, that's right.
But here's the deal. Going back to the whole thing about Bobby the Brain Heenan talking with guys like Rick Rude, Nick Bockwinkel, shoot, trying to think who else. You had Mr. Perfect, uh, like those guys that could really cut good promos on there, and they had him to add to their presentation. You could maybe make that case for Jimmy Hart and Jerry Lawler, because Lawler is one of the best talkers of all time, if you ask me. Commentary on the stick for a match, whatever. But when he came to Memphis, he actually had a manager with Jimmy Hart, but they were kind of along the lines of Heenan and those guys where they added to the presentation not because they needed it, but because they would add, like, if Lawler's a 9, take him to a 12. So best way to describe that. But no, like because usually sometimes when you did that, it's like just like why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? But it actually ends up working because like that's the thing about wrestling. There's thousands of rules, and all of them are meant to be broken at some point.
Hmm.
I think that's the best way to describe it. But I was gonna say, any more modern promos that come to mind for you?
Modern day promos. Well, especially in recent times, is because he's been on top lately. Is Paul Heyman,
Perfect mouthpiece,
perfect mouthpiece.
Lesnar.
Lesnar.
Roman Reigns, and Roman got better with his promos around time with Heyman. And yeah, now he's with Seth Rollins now.
Yep.
But I tell you what, CM Punk can't make the argument of you know him needing a mouthpiece either, but Heyman added so much to him because it was kind of like giving that rub of like stardust on him, even though he was already a legitimate star at that point. I think he added even more to him, made him like if CM Punk was a Hall of Famer, he's a top tier Hall of Famer with Heyman when they had their little spiel and they had their run, and then they feuded against each other with Lesnar.
All right.
Fabulous. All right, I know we want 5 more minutes, and we almost got it a couple days ago and got 3, but I had to stop that. First show I've ever done in Rodeo Barn.
Alrighty, it's time to go home.
Going home.
And you forgot your pencil again.
Yep, we'll just use my glasses. I can't see. Did I pull out a gun? No, I didn't.
Alrighty. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. You can find us on YouTube, Working the World 0240. Shoot the half and stay classy.
Stay classy.
'Cause I